Good morning. On behalf of the Wes-Del High School Student Council, I would like to welcome you all to our annual Veterans Day program. Today is a day where we honor, remember, and appreciate the brave men and women of our nation who have made the ultimate sacrifice of serving in our country's armed forces. These servicemen and women have fought to protect your freedoms to vote, speak, dream, and to enjoy life. Without these people, our freedoms would not exist. Today we recognize all who have served past, present, and even future. We have over 150 local veterans that we are honoring on the slideshow today. And we will also be hearing from Mrs. Vicki Treehorn. I now invite you all to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led today by our kindergarten students. Please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem. Today's national anthem is sung by the Wes-Del Choir.
On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the fighting of World War I ended in 1918. Due to the conclusion of the war to end all wars, November 11th became a universally recognized day of celebration. The day was originally declared Armistice Day 8 years after the end of World War I and honored only veterans who served in the First World War. Then, in 1954, after World War II and the Korean War, it was renamed Veterans Day to honor all veterans who served America in war and defended democracy. Today, we honor all of our veterans who unselfishly placed their life on the line for our right to live free in the United States. Men and women who were ordinary people until they heard the call of duty and answered it. They left their families, their homes, and their lives, not for recognition or fame or even the honor we bestow upon them today. They fought to protect our country and to maintain our way of life. Now we will hear from our choirs. They will be singing A Distant Shore, arranged by Mary Donnelly and George Elostrid.
Wes-Del High School. Ms. Streeter is known for her kindness, faith, and willingness to teach beyond the classroom. Ms. Streeter is also a proud patriot. Her father, the late Robert Miller, enlisted at the age of 17 and served as an aviation radioman, petty officer 2nd class, in the Navy Air Force during World War II. He flew missions in the Pacific Theater and an aviation radioman. Mr. Miller passed away peacefully this fall at the age of 98. Today, we hear from Miss Vicki Trigger as she pays tribute to her father and what it meant to be a true patriot.
And I may have to go get my flashlight on my phone because I'm getting a little older. Awesome, thank you. First thing I would like to say is, number one, I'm not a professional speaker, except I am very used to speaking in front of students, and there are many of those here. I would like, however, to begin with thank yous. Number one, from the school and the student council for this invitation. Number two, the veterans and the current servicemen and women. You are who we are honoring today. And when I say honor, I mean we are honoring your service. I know what you did was not easy. I know from talking to my father, he was very, very proud of his service. But it wasn't easy. Next, I would like to also thank the future servicemen and women who may be sitting here in the stands. I know that many of you are thinking about futures. If you'd like to enlist, and I applaud you for that. Some of these little ones over here, give them a few years and they may be in that same situation. Excuse me. Robert V. Miller, my father, World War II, U.S. Navy Air Corps, enlisted on June the 16th of 1943. That was about a month before his 18th birthday, but he didn't want to get drafted into the Army. So he enlisted into the Navy. He was honorably discharged on January the 1st, 1946. As was mentioned, he was an aviation radioman, 2nd class, and he served in the Pacific Theater. Now, my dad was not a hero any more than any other man or woman sitting right here. I applaud our veterans. And the older I get, and the more I understand about your service and what it entails, the more honor I give you. My dad logbook. And in this book, he had logged hours and missions that he flew. And as I open these, I see the plane that he flew was a PB-4Y2. That doesn't mean anything to anybody except me, maybe, because Dad was so proud of that plane. A few years ago, we were able to take Dad down to Pensacola. There are two, or at least at that time, there were two PB-4Y2s still in existence. So we took him down to see one at Pensacola. Brought back a lot of memories for him. But as I look through this logbook, I see, okay, he flew this mission was 6.5 hours. This mission was in the daytime, and it flew 2.5 hours. And they were just normal flights. And then I came to some that had some remarks. And this one particular remark, lost McElwee and crew. On March the 7th, 1945. Now let me set the stage here just a minute. Dad was in Squadron VPB 121, and that squadron held, I think, about 10 different crews. And those crews, one of which was my father's, they all did the same particular job. But there was one time where they went out on a mission, and 5 different crews went out. One of them actually had some radio trouble, and so I think they turned around and went back. So there were 4 crews, 4 different planes that had this particular mission. And they were supposed to be bombing the runways on this particular island so that the Japanese could not use that as runways. The first 2 planes dropped their bombs and went on. The 3rd plane flew in, and they don't know exactly what happened. If they flew around to take another pass and then got shot down or what, but my father was in the 4th plane. They saw the 3rd plane go down in flames. I cannot imagine what that was like. Because that crew was just like my father's crew. That might have been my father's plane. I keep going, and I came to some more remarks. I can find them. Here's another one. Lost. And he gave a name. Lost and Crew. But I can't imagine what it would be like to see this, knowing that the next day you might have to go up again and do the same job. personal things. And I can't imagine what it would be like to play, to play on the mind like that. Enlisting in the military is not an easy thing. Well, it may seem easy to the outsider. It might seem easy. But I'm sure that many of you sitting in front of me right now on this floor would say that was not an easy decision. Nor, when you got there, you actually enlisted. You had to carry out the tasks. They were not always easy. You leave your home, you leave your family, you're out on your own. But not only that, some of you may have seen some battle. That cannot be easy. Nor can it be easy to pick up a gun and fight for your country. But you're not really, and this is what I want you guys listening, I want you to understand that the military men and women are not just fighting for the country. They are fighting for you. They are fighting for these little ones. They are fighting for our freedom. That is not a lighthearted task. And that's what I want to make sure that you guys leave this place in the next few minutes. The biggest thing that I really want is for you to understand and have a greater appreciation for the veterans that are sitting here, for their tasks and their jobs that they have already performed, for the current military men and women who are sitting here in this place, as they are currently serving, because they're not only serving the country, they are serving us. And then I also want everybody to understand that the future military, some of them are sitting in the bleachers right now, maybe you're behind me. I want you all to have a greater appreciation for what they have done. Now, my father was in World War II. Yes, that was a long time ago. Long before I was ever born. History books. And yet you listen to the history in your social studies classes, and you think, they just not right? But I hope that after you hear the choir sing, after you hear things that are spoken here, after you see some of the people out here in uniform, I hope that this becomes more meaningful. I hope that when you study the wars, Vietnam War, Korean War, all of these things, Afghanistan, so many different conflicts. And those conflicts are not just words on a page. There were real men and women that were actually involved in the fight. I had thoughts of reading that. I'm not sure I'm going to. My dad was involved I'll just kind of summarize it. He was involved in dog fights. You guys have seen Top Gun. Well, that's maybe kind of a nice movie. But some of that stuff is real, guys. War is not pretty. And yet, once the military has been through a conflict and you go back to your barracks, I'll bet it's probably not really easy to fall asleep and to get back up and do the same thing again the next day, knowing that after you've seen the plane ahead of you go down in flames, it might be you. That is what I want you guys to understand, have respect, and realize that these men and women are not just fighting for the country. They're fighting for your freedom. And it really, really aggravates me when people stand up they spit on the flag, they tear the flag apart, they burn the flags. Yet I have thought so many times that because of the service of the military, it's kind of ironic, but they fought for the freedom so people could do that. That is not something to be taken lightly. So I urge you to consider your attitudes toward our great country with a new perspective. I urge you to consider the military servicemen and women, past, present, and future, with a new perspective. I urge you to consider your thoughts toward the words of our Pledge of Allegiance that these liberals just let us in. Now, they don't know all of the big words, but think about that. I pledge allegiance. Don't just say those words. Listen to them. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Now, the flag, I don't know if you know anything about military conflicts, but the flag was always first. It led the conflict. Because we let people know who was coming. That flag deserves our respect is because of these men and women sitting right here. And the men and women who have cast before. So I urge you to consider your thoughts towards the words of our pledge. And finally, I urge you to consider your respect of not just the pledge, but the flag itself. Now, it's just a piece of material, but it is a special piece of material. It is made specifically to represent the freedoms that you guys, every one of us, behind me, all around, every one of us is blessed with. It represents a country that stands for the freedom that others all over the world are greatly longing to be a part of. Thank you.
In honor of the brave, we stand united. In gratitude we say, to those who serve with courage so true, we owe our freedom, a debt we can't undo. Through battles fought and hardships endured, the sacrifices and valor forever secured. In fields afar or on home soil they stand, protectors of peace of the fields they named. In fields of conflict where shadows loom, they face darkness, dispelling the gloom. Each soldier, sailor, airman, and marine, a symbol of strength, resolute and keen. Through hardships endured and sacrifices made, they marched forward, undeterred, unswayed. In the tapestry of freedom, they wove their part, a testament to courage etched in every heart. With pride in their hearts and a flag unfurled, they embody the spirit that defines our world. So let's remember them in each thankful prayer for the veterans' legacy we all proudly share. Now the choir will be singing "We Honor You" by Roger Emerson.
From the sandy shores of Normandy to South Korean land, from the jungles deep of Vietnam to Middle Eastern sands.
Some gave their lives, you gave us walls, came home with battle scars. This is the day we honor you, the privilege is ours. just a holiday to you, it's so much more. The bravery we know it took to fight so far for.
We'll do our best to say to you how much we owe this debt. To all who served our nation proud, this day we won't forget. We honor you for sacrifices made, for courage you display. We honor you for giving us your all, responding to the call. We honor you. We honor you. We honor you. We honor you for sacrifices made, for courage you display. We honor you. We honor you for giving us your all, responding to the call. We honor you. We honor you. We honor you.
Thank you to all our veterans who are here today and to all the members of our community who recognize these men and women for their service. Can I have all the veterans please stand so we can recognize their service to our country? Thank you again for your valor and service. We would now like to recognize each individual branch of the military with the playing of the armed forces. When you hear your branch's anthem, please rise. If you would like to stand in remembrance or to represent a serviceman or woman who is not in attendance, please do so when you hear the branch's anthem as well.
The United States Army. United States Marine Corps. The United States Navy. the United States Coast Guard. United States Air Force.
Born of a French bugle call, the melody we know as taps was rearranged and used during the Civil War as a call for lights out. In the late 1800s, the Army formally adopted the tune for use at military funerals and memorial services. The 24 mournful notes comprising taps are played to commemorate the memory of members of all 5 branches of the armed forces: the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard. Please stand in silence to participate in this moment to honor who have died in service for our nation. The choir will now be singing God Bless the USA, words and music by Lee Greenwood, arranged by Roger Emerson.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and we can't take that away.
the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee,
Across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, when at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave their lives for me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave their lives for me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you again to all that are in attendance today, warrior students, staff, community members, and especially to our veterans. I would like for us all to celebrate these men and women one last time. Special thank you to Ms. Treehern for speaking today, Dr. Aragon and our warrior band, Mrs. Love and our middle school, high school choir, Ms. Stanley and our student council members, and then also thank you to our elementary students who performed with us today, along with their teacher, Mrs. Williams. All of your efforts made this wonderful program happen this morning. At this time, that concludes our Veterans Day program. We will begin by dismissing our middle school, high school students to third period. If you have a veteran or family in attendance today, please feel free to see them on